Hey, Shawnee from SpeedCoopyView.com. Yes, this is a video on F2L, and yes, there are like hundreds of other videos in F2L, and I have made multiple ones. I want to redo it and make a new one, basically because I think a lot of them are just way too complex. F2L, if you want to do it like the way the top solvers do, for the most part, you're not learning a bunch of algorithms. You're setting up pieces in 4 to 5 moves, then inserting in 3 moves. And that's mostly everything. There are a few weird cases that end up being more than 4 or 5 moves, and there's a few cases that it's not intuitive, but other than that, that's it, and it's learning how to manipulate the puzzle. I'm going to do a couple scrambles just so I can show you what I mean, and then we're going to talk about how to practice it, and how to get good at it, and how to get where it happened with me, where Felix Zemdegs was like, yeah, that's pretty much what I would do, just faster. Okay, so I'm going to do the cross. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't think that's needed as much. Okay. First pair I see, red and green, 1, 2, 3, and then insert. Red and blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, insert. And yes, rotations are fine. As long as you're just doing mainly one rotation, one 90-degree rotation. Orange, blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then insert, 1, 2, 3. And then orange and green, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and insert. And then we can do OLL and PLL. I was hoping for a nice COLL, but it didn't work out. Okay, let's do one more scramble just so I can show you this, and maybe something weird will show up, and then we'll go through how to do it. Okay, well, we've got a pair there. Have some other things we could try to save and do X cross, which is essentially a cross plus a pair, solving 6 pieces instead of 4. But looking at this, red and green, it's already set up. I just have to do a rotation, 1 move, and then 3 move insert. Green and orange, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then insert. And then we've got a blue and red edge here, blue and orange corner here. So I know that's going to be blue and red. I am going to do 1, insert, and back. Then here's kind of a weird one. So this one's not great for setting up in just 4 or 5 moves. There's a lot of ways I could do it. I could rotate now, but I'm gonna do this. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 moves, and then insert. And then we're left with OLL and PLL. Okay. Well, what you're going to do. So let's talk about F2L. There's 2 main ways to insert. There's inserting it where you already have a pair, which if you're inserting to the front right, you would do R, U prime, R prime. But also if this thing is right here, you could do R, U2, R prime. Same thing. And when you get more experience, you can see how that's going to manipulate other pieces. But inserting like that, R, U prime, R prime, or R, U2, R prime. And you want to be able to do this from everywhere. So do it on the left side. Or on the back. On the back right. Practice from all sides now. If you start practicing and only inserting on the front right, you're going to get stuck that way and then you have to undo it. It might feel like it's slightly slower progress when you're trying to do it on the back and the front, but it's going to help overall instead of having to backtrack again and relearn. The other way of inserting is where they are separated. So you have 2 colors on the edge, so whatever's on top is that opposite color where the corner is. And really you're pairing it up while you insert. So R, U, R prime. Or L prime, U prime, L. Or L, U, L prime, or R prime, U prime, R. I have to think about what the words are because when you get experienced with it, you're not thinking this move, this move, this move. It's when you have, I'm going to call them opposite colors, even though technically we could say they're adjacent. But for this video's sake, opposite colors. You are setting it up so you are pair it up and then insert. And those are really the two ways. The 3-move insert, I'm going to call it. It's either where they're already a pair or you're pairing it up while you insert. And everything else is just setting it up to that. And you might have noticed one of these, the corner matches that color on top. The other one is opposite. So what about when it faces up? And when you have that, let's say you have something like this, you are going to adjust the corner into that new setup. Now you might hear people say, okay, we're going to do professional, we're going to do advanced F2L, we're going to learn these algorithms. Most are just that. There are weird ones. So what I set up a moment ago was this. How do we solve this? Well, we could do, we take it out and then separate and then insert. It's not too bad. Or what I'm doing right now, which is where we do the righty algorithm for 3 times in a row. The first 2 times set up to there and then insert. Or you do, I like doing the inverse. I feel like it's faster in my hands, where you set it up there. That's not super intuitive. Like, I wouldn't have just discovered that probably unless I was just messing around with the puzzle. So things like that, sometimes you could be like, what's an algorithm for that? Other times you get stuff like this. For example, if I saw this, what I initially did, this is real, that I paired that up, separated that, and then insert. And that was just what I did intuitively. But I did not realize from here, if I do RU to R prime, it pairs it up. Because it moves that down, pairs up, and then here. So there are times when looking at an algorithm can be more helpful. If you're watching this being like, okay, you're giving me all these different options, that's the problem with learning it algorithmically. There's a lot. There's not 42 algorithms, or sometimes there's lists that show that. No, there's hundreds because there's variations. There's the right and left if you count those. But also, right here, if I only have one pair left, sure. But there's pairs in the back and the left, and often there's all these open slots you can use. And if you're just going in algorithms, you are likely going to be less efficient than if you actually learn it intuitively. And it seems counterintuitive, but the algorithms rarely count for those open slots. Here's how you can practice this. You can, if you make a puzzle like this, which is just a sticker list and a stickered of the same puzzle, and I swapped pieces and took stickers off, take this and just mess it up randomly. Just move them around, don't look where they are, and then see, can I set this up? How do I set this up? And for here, 1, 2, 3, because I see they're opposite colors, so I want them across like that, and insert. So how do we know when we need to do a rotation? Well, let me set this up. An edge is a good edge, you might hear that with edge orientation, when it could be inserted without an F move or a rotation. If I have the same color here, it's not a good edge, because I can't get that into place without it being flipped. So here I'd have to do a rotation or an F move. And I highly advise you to practice just doing a 90-degree rotation. A lot of people, I think almost everyone at some point is like, okay, well, I could do this F move here and do that. Rarely is it actually faster. I don't know many people that it actually ended up being faster to do that. We all try it, I think, to do that. I'm going to take this. I'm going to also now just take a pair and take it out and insert it. So if you only do, let's say, R moves, L moves, and U moves, every single pair can be inserted without a rotation. Every single one. So that's a good way of practicing that. Do I need to rotate? Not if you scramble it like this. Let's see now. And I'm just going to take the first one I see. Here's red and green. That's already paired up. There are some really cool tricks for this. I could do B2R, B2R prime. Or just take that out and then insert it. Red and blue. This is one that's going to be more than 4 or 5 setup moves with the more intuitive way. And what I do personally, is I separate them like that, set them up to the opposite, and then insert. Blue and orange is already paired up. Orange and green is already set, and we're good to go. Then let's scramble it again. And now you might be saying,
Sean, this is not teaching me anything. Telling me something, but I haven't learned how to do F2L.
And this is important, it takes time. A lot of people, if not most people I've talked to, say when they switch from layer by layer to F2L, it takes a few months for them to get back to their old times. I've met people where they'll get back within a week, but know that it's going to take some time to get back to where you were. So you're going to go slower at first, because you're not learning just, oh, here's what I do then, and I'm good. You're learning how things move in 3D space and visually seeing these things that you really haven't done before this. Like, there's no sport or musical instrument that this would relate to. Okay, first thing I see, we've got that, which actually is really nice, but let's do the blue and red. That's the first one I saw. And I'm gonna set it up and insert. And if we want to give some advice here, we'd want to do ones in the back first when we can, 'cause that way we're not looking around the puzzle as much. Green and orange, set up, insert. Let's do the blue and orange. Actually, no, let's do the green and red. So it's going to go back here, but I'm going to start setting it up here first. Set up, insert. And then blue and orange, I'm going to put this here so I can set it up and insert. And that's one that, when I first saw this, I learned this as a case that, okay, I put the color there and then I do lefty algorithm twice. Or if the corner's here, I do an inverse of it. So there are some weird cases. There are some ones that are like, oh, what do I do there? That one seems like I can't do in 4 or 5 moves, which there are those. Feel free to ask questions with it. Post here a question that you have, but don't be afraid to do those 90-degree turns or things like that. There was a moment that I think helped me more than anything else, and I visually remember being at my house, at my kitchen table, just doing just that. Because I wasn't good at moving the puzzle and inserting in the back. I had not practiced it. And I just did that over and over again, doing U moves with both hands. Just like musical instruments and sports, what's going to help you grow the most is your muscle development. Knowing things, good. Muscle development is key. This is why it's more difficult for adults often to learn a musical instrument or to even get faster at cubing. They will likely understand what needs to be done faster than someone who's 6 years old. But getting their hands to do that, the muscles aren't built or aren't developed. So if you're an adult, know that. Your hands are not going to develop. The muscles are not going to develop as fast or as much as a little kid that's growing up with this. And it's even more difficult because you know what you want to have happen. You understand what's supposed to happen. So that's difficult there. Let's do 2 more solves, and we're just going to call it a day. I'll use a scramble, and I'll talk through a bit more with it and my thought process. Okay, again, this is not cross tutorial. Yellow cross is nice here. So I'll just do white cross to get this going. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, first thing I see, there's a couple corners on top. See this red and green, this red and green. I see they're both green. I can pair this up like that, and then I'm going to be able to insert it in the back. And I'm already looking at blue and orange here and here. And I'm just going to take this out and then pair it up, then bring it to the front. So that one was a little bit more than 5 moves. Blue and red, I can pair it up and insert it. And now there is no green and orange here. I see the edge here. This corner is already inserted. So this one's going to be one of those ones, I'm going to do it an old school way, where I pair it up, rotate, and insert. And are there multiple ways I could do all of those pairs? Yeah. Different ones that could have kept the edges oriented or made it where if I did this other one first, another one would have been set up. That's something that you can learn in time. Really just focus on how do I set this up. Never need to do more than one 90-degree rotation to avoid F moves. Okay, this will be the last one that I do. Again, yellow cross is fantastic. We're just going to ignore that. We already have a pair here for white. Could I preserve that in some way? Yeah, I think I could. Certainly. Okay, so I'm going to do... There. Preserve that pair. Did not preserve that pair. There we go. I did something weird there, but we have a nice pair. So instead of rotating like this and inserting, I'm going to rotate like this so I can insert it in the back. Although now I'm going to fill the space because red and green are very obvious. Set it up, insert, red and blue, red and blue. This is a bad edge. I cannot insert that without it being flipped. So I'm going to do a 90-degree rotation, insert it, and then green and orange. Wow, this is very similar to the last one. Now, I'm going to do something right here that's not super intuitive. I'm going to set it up like this and then set up to insert. But I just took that pair out. And that's because I can insert it right back again. Something that is not, again, super intuitive that might be good in an algorithm and can flow really well. And once these get into your fingers more and more, they might feel like algorithms. You might feel like you have over 100 different F2L algorithms in your hand because you'll see it and be like, I know what to do here, and just do it. So with that said, F2L is not something like OLL or PLL where you have a set of algorithms to learn. It can seem more complicated because you just need to take time doing it. It's like solving the cross. There's some things about, oh, that's a flipped edge, so you have to do this. But really, it just takes time and practice to learn how the cube gets manipulated so you can set things up and possibly preserve things or solve two things at once. Years of practice. There's a reason why nobody starts cubing and then a month later gets a world record. Takes time, practice it, have fun. If there is a weird case, send me a message. Comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on it. If you have any general tips for beginners too, put those down in the comment section as well. And if you are a beginner, something that you've learned that was like, this made a lot of sense to me. I just like figured this thing out, whether it's from me, another person, yourself, put it down below. Hit like and subscribe for more content like this in the future, and so always keep following SpeedCube Review for more news and reviews.